All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Houston Rockets Daily. My name is Jackson. I post daily Houston Rockets content. Haven't been doing too much of that. I do apologize, but we have Let's Talk Rockets episode number 12. The big news: Ime Udoka, the new head coach for the Houston Rockets, did a quick live stream a couple of days ago when this signing officially happened. And today we're going to focus mainly on Ime Udoka. We're live here in the beautiful state of Florida. I hope you guys are doing well. As Swaggy points out here in the chat before we went live, the NFL draft is tonight. But if you guys are a Houston Rockets fan, you know the deal. There's no offseason when it comes to Houston Rockets content. So let's talk Rockets, episode 12. We're going to just break down various things about Ime Udoka. It should be about 20 to 30 minutes. Keep in mind, guys, hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily Houston Rockets content. This is a podcast. We have 2 episodes on Spotify right now. The last 2, Let's Talk Rockets, episode 10, episode 11. So, we only have only 4 total listens. We do have 7 followers on it. So shout out to you 7 Spotify followers. One of them's me. So shout out to you 6. I want this to be the spot for Houston Rocket content in general. And so we're going to be pumping these out, pretty consistently, like at least twice a week. So follow the Twitter, follow the podcast. The link's down below. I'm still working on Apple. But in the meantime, what is up to my boy Chris, Swaggy, Matt, Ime will make Tardy Eason a beast. So let's just get into some housekeeping here, right? Also, guys, I know I just mentioned it, but follow the Twitter. All right. Houston. Steven Silas, the Rockets, last year, it did not work out. I also apologize. There might be a bit of an echo in this room. Just moved into a new spot. I think couches arriving tomorrow. We got some rugs arriving tomorrow. Got some tables on the way. I have to go buy a toolkit and get some other stuff situated. So there might be a bit of an echo. It shouldn't be too much of a problem, though. Let me know if it is. We're in phase 2. We saw both our owner and our GM and Tillman and Raphael with Ime talking about the Houston Rockets and, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So right now we're in phase 2. Phase 2 is playoffs, and we just entered phase 2 with Ime Udoka because obviously, having, the 3rd worst record in the league last year, that is not making the playoffs. The Houston Rockets have about 6, as it stands right now. Things are definitely subject to change as we're still in the first round of the NBA playoffs. The Houston Rockets are projected to have $60 million in cap space as of right now. So what is the allure? What is the draw to coming on over to Houston if you are Ime Udoka? Well, first things first, I'll give you a couple names here. And those names are Jalen Green. Those names are Jabari Smith Jr., our last 2 highly coveted draft picks. You have Alperen Şengün. You have Kevin Porter Jr. Now, those 2's futures as far as the next 5 years is, remains to be seen. But I would love to have both of those 2 cats on the Rockets next season. And honestly, that's kind of just what I'm anticipating. I think we'll have both of those players, easily Şengün, but I think Kevin as well will be there. That's for a different day. Maybe we'll talk about it tomorrow or sometime this weekend. So you have the young talent. You have guys like Matt's pointing out here in the chat on YouTube, Tari Eason, the list really just goes on and on. We have a lot of young, rising talent. Even guys like Ty Washington Jr., we didn't see too much of in his rookie season. You have Daisha Nix, I'm just kidding. You have Usman Garuba. There's just young talent. But mainly it's Jalen Green, and mainly it's Jabari Smith Jr., and you also have to keep in mind we're still, a little bit, actually less than a month away from the draft lottery. So that's great. Because we have young talent, we have current young talent, we have star-level talent, whether it's Şengün, whether it's Jabari, whether it's Jalen, whether it's all 3 of them, whether it's 2 of them, doesn't matter. Throw Kevin in that list, throw Tardy Eason, throw Ty Washington Jr., throw whoever you want to in that list. The Houston Rockets have young talent. Finally, we have a crap ton of cap space. As it stands right now, $60 million. Now, as my Houston OGs would point out, and by Houston OGs, I don't mean the lovely followers, longtime subscribers of Houston Rockets Daily and Let's Talk Rockets. I mean my boys in Houston, my boys Jorge, my boys HB, that brought up some really great points when I was Jared. All these guys bringing up really great points when, what was it, the home opener. So this is like 8 months. I'm not good at math, but this was the Houston Rockets home opener. And we're sitting here and we're talking, we're having a great discussion about the future of the Houston Rockets, because you have to keep in mind, while we have $60 million, what is the most important part about a championship team outside of like the obvious things like talent? You want flexibility. In fact, you need flexibility. You need flexibility. You need to scout young talent. You need to have existing talent. So is Houston about to go spend $60 million in free agency this upcoming offseason? Absolutely not. You're going to have to pay, hopefully, a top 2 pick, top 3 pick, top 4 pick at worst, or I guess it was a top 5 pick at worst. But I wouldn't be surprised if we acquire Cam Johnson. By acquired signing James Harden. Wouldn't be surprised if we acquire James Harden. Wouldn't be surprised if we acquire Jaylen Brown, which we'll talk about a little bit later on once we get into the Ime things. That's just the point, though. We're flexible. We have money to spend, but you don't want to break the bank in this upcoming offseason just because you hire Ime Udoka, just because you haven't made the playoffs in several seasons and you've had a horrible 3 straight years. So there's that. So let's talk a little bit about Ime. If you guys know, I have a daily live NBA show, and you can type in the NBA show on YouTube and all that. I post community tabs about it, neither here nor there. My boy Ciro and I, we talk everything NBA. We talk playoffs, we talk draft, we talk coaches, we talk team outlooks that aren't in the playoffs right now. And we talk Ime Udoka, clearly. Before this happened, I was convinced, my boy Ciro was convinced as well, that what was probably going to happen was either Nick Nurse or Kenny Atkinson, whoever it was going to be, possibly Ime Udoka. That was the Houston Rockets' best bet. Ime wasn't really in that conversation. I know a lot of Rockets fans would feel the same way. It's like, I think all NBA fans who are searching for a head coach right now, whether it's Toronto or Detroit, is like, yeah, Ime Udoka would be a perfect head coach. Even teams like, Milwaukee, probably, if Mike Budenholzer was fired yesterday or today and Ime was still a head coach, it'd be like, yeah, let's get Ime. Because obviously there was kind of the scandal going on with Boston that he has owned up to. And to be quite honest with you, I'm going to shy away from that subject because it's not my business. Ime's personal life is not my business, and the Boston Celtics certainly are not my business. So unless it were to become a problem with the Houston Rockets, I don't really care is probably the wrong word, but no, I'm not Ime Udoka. I'm not the Boston Celtics. I don't know exactly what was going on. So Ime Udoka, when I initially saw him, my buddy John texted me, and he sends me this text, and I see it's Adrian Wojnarowski, and I'm like, that has to be the fake Adrian Wojnarowski Twitter. That has to be a fake Twitter account that just broke this news. It wasn't fake. The Rockets signed Ime Udoka, as we're all perfectly aware of right now. And I went live immediately after it, and I was completely flabbergasted. I was completely shocked because, once again, on the show and even on this channel, on Let's Talk Rockets, it's like, yeah, Ime Udoka would be perfect. Well, let's go get Ime Udoka. Even the Hawks, I was saying, before they officially hired Quinn Snyder, when they fired Coach Nate, it was like they should get Ime Udoka because Ime Udoka is a great head coach. So, Ime, quick backlash. We have our notes here. Ime Udoka did play in the NBA. He played a couple of seasons. Keep in mind, this is it's just a different time period. This is like 20 years ago. You're not seeing many players score over 20 points per game outside of like Kobe Bryant, Allen Iverson, whoever it is. So Ime Udoka, quality role player. But the reason I bring that up is because it's very relatable players. This isn't even, I'm not even trying to bring Steven Silas in here because he has a very respectful or very respectable past, especially with the Dallas Mavericks in his previous coaching on the bench. Having a guy who's played in the NBA for a young team and for possible veterans that we're going to acquire via free agency and trade, that makes all the difference in the world. So you're very relatable to these players, right? And at the end of the day, it just makes the buy-in process easier. Ime's a guy he's gonna keep it a buck with you. He's gonna give it to you straight. He's gonna be brutally honest. And that's what young people in general need. But that's what you want with guys like Kevin Porter Jr., Jalen Green, Alperen Sengun, Jabari Smith Jr., any young player on our team. They want guys who are just gonna hold them accountable and keep it a buck with them. So that's literally what Ime said in his presser when he was introduced as the Houston Rockets head coach. He's like, I keep it honest and blunt. What I do love about Ime is he's great at defense. He has great defensive schemes. He has great schemes in general, but defense, all about effort, all about accountability, being smart, being strategic. So as his past, when he first got into coaching in the NBA, he was with the San Antonio Spurs under Coach Popovich from 2012 to 2019. And that right there doesn't even really need an explanation. Coach Popovich is arguably right now the most respectable head coach, not only in the league, but you could argue in at least recent memory and of all time, actually. So I love the fact that he started off with the San Antonio Spurs and he was with that organization, learning from Popovich. The Popovich tree runs very deep. It runs very deep. Think even like Will Hardy comes first time the head coach of the Utah Jazz, who almost made the play-in in his first year as head coach. So basically he goes there, then he goes under Brett Brown in Philadelphia, right? And then we see him as an assistant in Brooklyn, and then finally we see him as the head coach of the Boston Celtics. So in his first season, which was last year, Boston starts 18-21. Hey, what's up, Jorge? Hope you're doing good, man. I know a lot of people know this. The Boston Celtics last year, when they made the NBA Finals and took Golden State to 6 games, they started the season 20-21. Like through the halfway point, the Boston Celtics were 20-21, but they were even worse at 18-21. And it wasn't at that point in time, over a year ago, it wasn't, should Ime be fired? The conversation, the narrative wasn't even like, what is up? Was Ime the right guy for the job? Blah, blah, blah. Get him fired. Get him out of here. He's the scapegoat. It wasn't even that. The discourse actually in the first half of this Celtics season last year was, are Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown a good duo? What really is Jason Tatum? Is he a winner? Is he a superstar? Is he a star? What do we have with Jason Tatum? What do we have more importantly with Jaylen Brown? Because he's a nice trade chip you could dangle. So I don't think Celtics fans were really having this discourse, but around the league, it was like, all right, you're 18-21. You're about to hit the halfway mark in the regular season. Not now do we need to trade Jaylen Brown. Not now do we need to talk about the future with Tatum and Brown, but by the end of the season, it could be something that people are discussing. None of that happens because Boston goes on this historic run to end the season where they finished 51-31. One of the best teams, if you remember, actually the Miami Heat were the number 1 seed last year in the East. One of the best teams in the NBA. And just as like a frame of reference, a team that starts 18-21 with or 20-21 to make the math a little bit easier, there's only 40 games left. You're 20-21. So I should have the math here. I don't, because once again, I'm not great at math. But you start 20-21 and you finish with 50 wins. So actually, in my head right now, I'm thinking that math is actually kind of easy. If you start 20-21, you lost 31 games, you won 31-10 in your last 41 games. So Ime got them right. Ime Udoka, before the scandal came out, it was like he is one of the best young rising head coaches in the NBA and also one of the best, as it appeared, one of the best head coaches in the NBA. And I don't know why that would change. And then the scandal drops and they give him a leave of absence, or they just promote Joe Mazzulla as the interim head coach, and then the rest of the season went on. But it's like, yeah, Ime Udoka is still a phenomenal head coach. You made the NBA Finals in your first year as the Boston Celtics head coach after starting 2021, and you go on what was it, 31-10 to finish off the season. Even more so because it was 18. You went 33-10 in your last 43 games. So it was pretty crazy. So as much as I love Nick Nurse, as much as I love Kenny, and I want, all the Frank Vogel, even, some Rocket fans wanted Frank Vogel. As much as I, those were like alluring options, Nick Nurse in specific, because he's won a championship. Same thing applies actually to Frank Vogel. But like, you know what I'm saying? I did not think getting Ime Udoka was actually plausible for the Houston Rockets, not because of anything in specific, but it's just like, that sounds too good to be true. So when I saw that tweet, I got that tweet texted to me, and I saw that it's real, and it's actually from a verified Adrian Wojnarowski. I'm like, wow, that just happened. So as the week, it's already Thursday, as the next couple of days and the next couple of weeks progress, we can talk a little bit more specifically about how it's going to impact some of these young players as the draft comes up relatively soon, might I add, and especially with the draft lottery less than a month away. The Houston Rockets hype, as we've already seen in the last couple of days, in general, actually, I know the last 3 seasons haven't gone the Rockets' way. It hasn't gone as planned, or it just hasn't been ideal. There's so much to be excited about for the Houston Rockets organization as fans, as creators, whatever. If you have any type of affiliation to the Houston Rockets, there's so much to be excited about before they got Ime Udoka. And Ime's kind of like, I think this is the jump starter. And, I did mention we'll talk about Jaylen Brown. There isn't really much to say about Jaylen Brown. All the Celtics players last season loved Ime Udoka. It's a guy who's been in the NBA. He's been a coach in the NBA with Popovich, with Brown, with all of these different teams, these organizations. And in his first year as head coach, they get off to a disastrous start to the season, and they end up making the NBA Finals and winning over 50 games. So it's like, it goes without saying what Ime Udoka brings to an organization. And we got him. And we have a draft lottery coming up. We have guys named Jalen Green, Alperen Sengun, Jabari Smith Jr. The list goes on. And there's cap space. There's just everything you want. So personally, I don't want to be biased here, but like the Ime addition in and of itself, you could even say it before they got Ime, the Rockets are a playing team next year, or they'll at least be hovering around the play-in next year, because this team will not look the same. You won't have Daishen Nix getting 30 minutes every other night, or even 20 minutes, or probably even seeing playing time. I'm not trying to rag at Daishen Nix here. My point is, you have some cap space. You have another top 5 draft pick. We saw plenty of flashes last season. Now you have Jalen Green going into his 3rd year along with Alperen Sengun. You saw Jabari Smith Jr. in the second half of the season really figure things out. The point is, they're going to get some veterans. They're probably going to get some young talent. We'll talk about James Harden as the offseason goes on, but James Harden, Jaylen Brown, Cam Johnson, they'll get some type of player that's going to help them immediately, regardless if it's one big player or, a bundle of smaller players, smaller role players with high upside, guys like Cam Johnson. Things are about to change. And I'm very excited to have Ime Udoka as the head coach of the Houston Rockets. I know you guys are too. So that's it. Appreciate everybody tuning in here once again. This is, pretty soon it'll be live on Spotify. You can always rewatch these. But yeah, get ready for an influx of Let's Talk Rockets, and along with, just Rocket content on this channel as far as videos go. But that's it for today, man. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hit that like button, hit that sub button, follow the Twitter, follow us on podcast form, and let me know if you're watching this a little bit delayed. Still let me know your comments, your opinions on this move down below. That's it for me, and I'll see you guys later.